This video is put together to help you with the part of the procedure which involves cutting stock of 63mm by 19mm pine to length. Right, the first thing that I want to talk about when we're cutting is every time you pick up a length of timber like this, what I want you to do is get used to having a look for defects. The defects that we might be looking for are open knots, like you can see right here. Okay, so we don't want to be cutting into that section. And I also want you to take note of the bow. Alright, so bow is actually a curvature along the face of a piece of timber. So in reference to my table and my fence on this compound Mitre drop saw here, I want to put the high side of the bow of the face down. Alright, so if I turn this timber side on, okay, from this angle we can see the curvature along the length of the face of the timber. Alright, so at the moment the way I've got it held is with the high side of that bow is on the right hand side. So what I want to do is lay that down so that the high side of the bow is now against the table. The second point that I want to talk to you about, alright, is this is actually called spring. We'll refer to it as bow. Alright, but spring is a curvature along the edge. Okay, so we were looking at the face before. There's the top face, the bottom face. Alright, here's the edges. So if I look down the edge of the piece of timber, there is also, alright, it's never going to be straight. There's also a curvature. At the moment, the way I've got it, if I peer down those edges, the high side of the bow or spring on the edge is here. Alright, so I'm going to have to turn this piece of timber around because I want the high side of the bow of the face down on the table. I want the high side, which is here, the bow on the edge, against the fence. So I'll turn it around. Okay, so now I have the high side of the bow on the edge, the length of the edge, against my fence, and I've got the high side of the bow along the length of the face down on the table. Super important. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the personal protective equipment that I might wear and some of the safety precautions that I'm always going to carry out whenever I'm using the compound Mitre drop saw. Alright, the first thing that I want to talk about is eye protection. You only get one set, look after them. Alright, safety glasses are no good to you on your head, put them on your face. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is operational. Okay, before that I will mention that as you can see I've got no loose clothing on. There's nothing that's going to engage with the circular motion of that saw. So I've got no loose clothing on. Okay, my eyes are going to be protected. Now, looking at this piece of timber, if I'm going to dock and clean up the end, which is the first thing that I want to do when I pick up a piece of timber, I'll notice that there's a staple hanging out the end. That's rarely going to be there. However, when they stack timber in pack form, alright, sometimes they staple documentation on the ends, and that's where that's come about. I'm not going to try and pull that out or anything like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come forward of it and dock a section of that off. Whilst I'm doing this, unconsciously I am keeping pressure down on the table and against the fence. Alright, I'm going to turn this saw on and I'm going to bring it into contact with the timber only when the blade has reached full speed. This is what it looks like, and I'm not going to cut too quickly. I'm going to let that blade do the work. Here we go. Alright, whilst I was producing that cut, my hand was holding that pressure down on the table against the fence, and it was well clear of that saw blade. Alright, now I'm going to mark two lengths. On your cutting list, it says that you need two pieces at 750. Here's how I go about marking it. Retractable tape, right onto the end. I'm marking on this front edge, or the edge that's towards me, 750 millimeters. Nice little mark right on that front edge. That enables me to move this into position, alright, bring the saw blade down and maneuver it, alright, so that it is exactly in position. Okay, as you can see here, all right, what I'm doing is I'm lining the saw blade up on the waste side of that line. I can maneuver the piece of timber so that I can get it pretty much exactly where I want it. And there, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I'm on the waste side of that line and I'm ready to cut. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut. I'll make sure I've got my safety glasses on, no loose clothing, all right, pressure down on the table against the fence, all right, as always, and my hand is well clear. All right, so that I don't get splintering, etc., I'm going to cut nice and slowly. It's going to be safe and it's going to be the most effective cut. Here we go. So now I'm just going to repeat the process for the second piece. I've measured along, I've marked along the front edge, I'm going to slide it into position, bring the saw blade down, make sure the saw blade is on that waste side of it, alright, line it up carefully, fingers out of the way, pressure down on the table, against the fence, nice slow cut.